or perhaps the church in downtown. One of my trans sisters, she goes to a church. I'm not going to mention it, but it's you can walk across from it from Union Station. I'm not going to mention it. I'm not going to mention it. I don't want to talk bad about churches. She came here and she said, "I love it." But the theology was too much for her. She says, "Give me time." But until then, she prefers to live in the shadow of lies, shadow of deceit. She comes on occasion, and she takes in a little bit of the liberty and hope. She cries. She feels complete. And then I may not see her for a few weeks or a few months until she can't take it anymore, until she's exhausted and tired of being oppressed and repressed. Where she can be herself, just as God intended. The only way we can create this radical inclusion and keep it going, keep momentum going, is to allow our voices speak voiceless. There are people out there who just don't know how to speak up. Or maybe they're afraid they'll be told to shut up. We need to be their voices. There are people who yet don't quite know how to see the living truth, for fear that perhaps they'll be told what they see is a lie. There are people out there who know what they're hearing, but they're not quite understanding it because the truth they're hearing is skewed. We need to be the voice for the voiceless, the eyes for those who are fearful to see the truth, and the ears for those who do not yet know that they can truly hear the liberating truth of Jesus the Christ. So that the gift of trans spirit is threefold. Very long introduction for a very short sermon. Am I on time? 1, courage. You tell me if that don't take courage. You tell me if what Susan, Amy, Winter, and others didn't take courage to lose it all. Courage to speak up first and foremost for themselves, and then to speak up for others. 2, hope. Give hope for the hopeless. If it happens here in LA, it can happen in the Midwest. If it can happen in the Midwest, it can happen in another country. If it can happen in another country, it can happen right here at home. Hope for the hopeless, so that someone can wake up and know, I, the little man that I am, can grow up to be the beautiful woman that God has made me. Or every morning when that woman wakes up, she can see that beautiful transsexual man reflecting back. And knowing that there's nothing wrong with what he or she is seeing. And to know that the spirit, the body, and the mind are connected. So when someone else tries to tell you, but I see something different. But I feel exactly what I'm feeling. Hope for the hopeless. And 3, testimonies. To be living testimonies. To remember our dead, because they laid the framework. We shall never forget. And to allow their voices be heard, to acknowledge that they were courageous at one time or another, and that their life has not been lived in vain. And to allow the testimonies of our trans sisters and brothers to speak out and speak up so that they can continue making a difference in this church and in the churches around the world. Whether they're MCC, whether they're UCC, whether they're Catholic, whether they're Mormon, regardless, so that we can start making the difference. where radical inclusion allows every living person to walk into this church, this house of prayer for all people, and know that they will be embraced rather than denied. They will be accepted rather than rejected. They will be celebrated rather than set apart. And as I finish up, because when God is involved, one doesn't need to ask why. Simply, how? How can I understand you? How can I understand you? How can I understand you? In the back pew, in the middle pew, how can you understand your sisters? Amen? Amen. Enjoy the music.